Why am I so obsessed with the ancient world? Because when you learn about the ancient world and ancient history, it begins to debunk everything that they tell us now. All right, learning history will open your eyes to so much truth, because what we are given, our science, today's modern science, is garbage. Our history is garbage. It's just that. It's his story. All right, his story. Who do you think wrote that story? Of course, it's the victors. Even Napoleon Bonaparte, who we learn about around when we're like 10 years old. They tell us in school that Napoleon Bonaparte once said that history is a set of lies agreed upon. And then they carry on with their message and their lesson for the day. They teach you this when you're young, so you don't question it. Because you know what? If they told me that when I was 20, I would have said, wait a minute. History is a set of lies agreed upon. What does that mean? When exactly do the lies kick in? Is it all of history, or just what kind of history are we talking about here? So they slip this stuff in when we're children so we don't question it. Same with the globe. All right, that's just pseudoscience. It's not real. Okay, there is no good actual footage of Earth from space that's a ball that's spinning and doing it doesn't exist, because it's impossible. There's a lot of CGI and there's a lot of fake footage out there. Yeah, that's definitely true. There's tons of it because people have been faking it for a long time. Have you ever asked yourself how Universal Studios was using a spinning globe 50 years before any man ever went up to space or knew what it looked like from space? Nobody knew what it looked like. No one knew that's what it looked like for years and years and years, but Universal Studios had it locked in somehow. I mean, give me a break. We are being shown things and then we are told to believe them. Then years later, eventually they come out with all of this stuff and we're so, oh yeah, yay, I believe you. I don't believe it. Now, why do I not believe that the earth is spinning? For one thing, the Bible says it's a non-moving circle a whole bunch of times. I just did a bunch of videos on this. I teach a course on the Bible, how to read the Bible, 2 hours. I just released 30 minutes on Genesis last week. So if you're interested, go and check my YouTube or my Instagram. Now, second reason, why do I think that we're not moving? Well, for one thing, you can't feel the movement. It's never been felt. All right. And when people say, oh, it's constant though. Okay, it's constant. What about all of the asteroids and all the meteors that hit the earth? That should impact the speed and the direction of the earth. The spin, it should impact that. And even if you Google that, it will tell you it would impact it. So I'm not sure why it isn't. I'm pretty sure you would feel the rate being slowed down. It's just silly. Now, thirdly, if you look up at night and start to learn the night sky, you will realize that the North Star is always in the same spot, no matter what, always. Okay, always. You could drill a hole through a tree, and as long as it's looking at that North Star, and it will always be there. Every night you could look through that hole, and the North Star is going to be there. If we're endlessly spinning and spiraling and going 500,000 miles an hour through the galaxy, that wouldn't be possible. That would be impossible. The odds of that happening are so slim, it's not even worth talking about, but people are still being deceived. All right, you're being deceived by CGI and fakery. Start to use common sense. Okay, sundials do not work on a spinning ball. Sundials require a level plane in order to work. All right, a sundial is another piece of proof. How about a rainbow? How is a rainbow forming that shape? Because when you look it up, science tells it's because of the raindrops. The raindrops are 42-degree angles, each raindrop perfectly. And when they're in the sky and the sun hits them, the 42-degree raindrops shine and it makes a rainbow. That's the stupidest nonsense I've ever heard. If it makes a rainbow and it's 42 degrees, then how come rainbows are different shapes all over the world? Because they're not all 42 degrees. Some rainbows are very wide and flat. Some are super arched. It depends on where you are on Earth. And there's a reason for that. It's because the rainbow is reflecting the firmament dome. And depending on where you are underneath the dome, if you're closer to the sides, the rainbow is going to be flatter. If you're closer to the middle, it's going to be more arched. So it has to do with where you are located because it's bouncing off of the firmament dome. What about long distance photography debunking curvature? We have photos that are hundreds of miles. You can see hundreds of miles. If we are living on an Earth that is curved 8 inches per mile squared, which means every 1 mile in all directions, it's curving 8 inches away from you. That would mean that you should not be able to see photos from hundreds of miles away. You shouldn't be able to see them. And when people say, oh, but it was probably taken from high... Listen, you can do the math. You can sit and do all of the math you want based on Google's actual curve calculator, and you're going to figure out that you should not be able to see things from hundreds of miles away. All right, now when people say, oh, if the Earth was flat, you would be able to see, the Rocky Mountains from Boston. No, you wouldn't. And I'll tell you why. Because when you look out at the beach, you go to the beach and you look out, as far as your eyes can see, that horizon line, that is about 3 miles away. That's it. 3 miles. That's how far your eyes can see before the ceiling and the ground come together. That's your horizon. If you can only see 3 miles, then you're never going to be able to see the Rocky Mountains that are thousands of miles away. It would be impossible based on perspective and horizon. Learn how your eyes work, because we have been completely manipulated based on some really basic things. All right, basic vision. We've been manipulated. It is what it is. The fact is, the best thing to do is open up some books and start reading, start learning, start reading about ancient history. Understand that the ancient people back then, they navigated the whole world using the sky. How could they be doing that if it's endlessly going through a galaxy? It's the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard. All right? Now, when you have people like, Andrew Tate and his brother coming out and saying that the Earth is flat, and then I put that on and my video gets removed and my account gets taken down. There's just so many celebrities coming out and saying it, and then, a day later, like Shaquille O'Neal went on the radio and said it. And then a day later, he went on another radio station and said, oh, I was just kidding. Of course, because he got a phone call that night and it said, you better go on the radio and take all that back. Stop talking. Guaranteed. And then he went on and the next day and said he lied. So this is what we're dealing with. You have to understand, NASA agents sign NDAs. When you sign an NDA, you're not allowed to talk about it or you lose everything. They will sue you for everything. So it's not hard to understand. How could everyone lie to us? All the people that work for NASA, how could they all lie? It's compartmentalized. They don't know what each other does. All right? They only know their job. They don't know what each other does. And the people that work in the control room, I bet you didn't know this. Did you know that the people that work in the control room of NASA cannot tell the difference between a simulation and a real flight? They cannot tell the difference from the control room. No idea. It could be a real flight. It could be a simulation. They can't tell the difference. The only way they know is because their boss comes in and says, okay, guys, this is a simulation. However, they can't tell based on the equipment that they have and the way that it looks and all of that. No idea. So if they can't even tell, how do you expect them to know things? They don't know anything. They're left in the dark like everybody else. All right? So I highly recommend you do your research. get into a library, start getting books on ancient history, on Egypt especially, on the Babylonians, and on all of these ideas. How did they, discover this stuff, and what's going on? Learn it. It's important. Understand the terms, geocentric and heliocentric and Polaris, and when it was discovered and by whom, and just understand the stuff. Learn the names, learn the whole thing, because then when you put it together, the story that we have been told makes no sense. And you'll start to see this. And then when you go even deeper, you'll start to realize that NASA, it was founded by Nazis, for crying out loud. All right, Nazis. Werner von Braun was a Nazi, and he was a high-ranking one. Most people don't realize that after World War II, before we got the chance to imprison all of the Nazi engineers, we snuck them into America via the Vatican through false passports, and they started creating all of these programs. So all these people that are obsessed with all these programs, you're obsessed with a Nazi program that is designed to manipulate you. All right, they want to, and you know why it's so important is because if I can get you to believe in the most absurd, ridiculous thing that clearly is not true, that's every part of your being tells you that that is not true. But if I can get you to believe that, then I own you, because you're an idiot, because you don't think with your own head. That's the way it works. And it's true. Try it on somebody. If you can get someone to believe the most dumb, ridiculous thing about you, then you own them. Why do you think people lie? All right, there are a lot of people that lie to other people about what they do and who they are and what they own, because they want to appear to be better than they are, and they want to be big shots, and they want to be liked, and they want to be loved. And it's the same thing. They lie, and all of a sudden, oh yeah, yay, people think they're the hero of the story. You know what I mean? Liars control everything. Understand things, get to the bottom of things, learn things, question everything. Just because it was on TV, on Television, that's why, on your programming channel, that's why you think it's real? Because it's been on your programming? Give me a break. I love you all. This is my opinion. If you want to learn more about symbolism, religion, all the different theologies and ideas and where they came from, understand that all these religions came from very ancient worships of all different things. The moon, Saturn. The Bible's an incredible book mixed with so many different things. The early Jewish people, all right, the early Hebrew people, they didn't worship one God. They weren't monotheistic in the first place. Most people think that the Hebrews were the first monotheistic religion. They weren't. It's henotheistic. That's what it's called. It's the worship of many. There are many gods, and you pick one out of the many, many, many gods. It's not about one. It's about many. Even the Old Testament of the Bible has many gods in it that they're talking about. All right, so learn. Understand that Yahweh is not Jesus. They're two different things. Yahweh is an Old Testament deity. It's not Jesus. Yahweh can also be compared, and he's in the likeness of the volcano as well. When you start to research that, it gets really interesting. Why? Because the volcano used to be worshipped. The old ancient Arabian volcano god was called Sin. All right? And the word for mountain in the ancient language was Ai. So when you put those words together, Sinai, you get the mountain of the moon god, which is why Moses, in every depiction of him, look it up, just Google Moses, he's going to have horns. Because, for one thing, the moon was being worshipped by these people back then. Those are lunar horns, because when the moon was in the horned position, the rain would come. That was the moon in its lower quarter. In Egypt, back in the day, that would bring the rains to Africa, and it would flood the Nile River, and the Nile River would then flow down to the lower delta and flood the lower delta, and it was chaos, pure chaos. But out of the chaos came beauty and love and life and all of this amazing stuff, because out of chaos you get order. That's where all of these Illuminati ideas stem from. They come from the ancient world. all right? Ancient Masonic societies and all this ancient stuff, learn it. I am not a Freemason. My name with the sun 33 is my name in Latin. 33 is the Pythagorean numerology of the name. I do it because I want people to use their brain. I promote thinking and asking questions. I don't want you to believe me. I don't believe me. I want to encourage you not to believe me. Go out and do the research. Verify what I'm saying. I've listened to thousands of hours of Jordan Maxwell on Rumble. Thousands of hours, I swear on you. Swear to God. Thousands of hours. And then I have spent thousands of hours over the last 5 years in libraries all over the place. All over. Massachusetts, Connecticut. I've been to college, university libraries. I mean, I've spent so many hours in libraries verifying all of the stuff he's talking about. And 99% of everything he says is dead accurate. And you need to go into a book to see this. Don't trust Google anymore. Google is owned by Alphabet Inc., who is owned by BlackRock. BlackRock uses flat earth symbolism in the name of the business. BlackRock is the center mountain in the middle of the Gleason map or the old Mercator map. The center mountain in the middle of the old Mercator map, all right, was dubbed the Black Rock. Why would you trust a company that uses flat earth symbolism in their logo? They're using flat earth symbolism and then telling you the earth is a sphere. I mean, come on, use your head. It's crazy to me. People got to start using their own brains, relying on their own brains, but they don't trust their own brain. And honestly, I don't blame them. I didn't trust my own brain at one point either. Now I do, because I know things. Learn things. I love you all so much. This is my opinion. You know, every good whistleblower needs a whistle. And I got to tell you, I am blowing whistles on everything. People really should start waking up. I love you all so much. I hope to see you at my website. This is my opinion.